Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into something you've probably seen, maybe even tried, if you spend any time in a gym. Picture those athletes doing, incredible plyometrics, massive box jumps, explosive leaps, really impressive stuff. I mean, I've tried a few box jumps myself, and let's just say impressive wasn't quite the word people use, more like a gravity aware. But here's the strange part, the thing that makes you pause. These same super powerful athletes, they often end up with really serious injuries. We're talking non-contact ACL tears, that knee ligament, or just nagging chronic knee pain. And sometimes, honestly, their movement doesn't look, well, that smart or adaptable outside of those specific drills. We're calling it the plyometric paradox. How can something meant to build power also create such, fragility? Well, the traditional way of doing plyometrics is pretty mechanistic. It's all about force, right? Generate force, absorb force, repeat. And yeah, that works great in a controlled setting. But the real world, sport, it's messy, unpredictable. And that's where things seem to break down. So today's deep dive is about a really different way of thinking. It's called intelligent plyometrics. The idea is to blend ancient insights about movement with the latest sports science. It's not just about jumping higher, it's about moving smarter.
Exactly. And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to explore how this approach builds not just that raw power, but also the, let's call it movement wisdom, to use that power safely and efficiently and really sustainably, throughout your whole life, not just for a season. It's a pretty fundamental shift in how we think about athletic development and especially injury prevention. And we're drawing a lot of our insights today from some really exciting work, particularly from Terrence Hughes' forthcoming book, The Invisible Injury. He has a fantastic section laying out this concept of intelligent plyometrics, power through movement wisdom.
Okay, great. Let's get into it. You mentioned movement wisdom and this idea of the tensegrity revolution. That sounds significant. For people listening, what is tensegrity? And how does it connect old wisdom with modern science? It feels like more than just, adding some philosophy.
Right, it's not just philosophy slapped on top. Tensegrity is basically a structural principle.
Yeah.
Think of how your body is built. It's not just bones stacked like blocks. Instead, imagine your bones kind of floating, held in balance by the continuous tension from your muscles, your fascia, all that connective tissue. It creates this incredibly resilient, adaptable structure.
Sure.
What's really cool is how many ancient movement practices, like martial arts or yoga, intuitively understood and used these principles. Modern science is now catching up, quantifying why it works so well biomechanically. And this leads us right into the first principle of intelligent plyometrics, pre-activation control. It sounds a bit backward, but it's like the slow path to explosive power.
Slow path for plyometrics. That does sound counterintuitive. We always think fast explosive. The lowering part, the eccentric phase, that's just getting ready to jump, right?
That's the traditional view, yeah. Let's load up. But here's the twist from intelligent plyometrics. Research shows that doing slow, eccentric micro jumps, like really small, maybe only 20% of your max height, dramatically increases the co-activation between your quads and hamstrings. We're talking a 37% increase. That means those big muscle groups around the knee are working together much more effectively, stabilizing the joint before the explosive part even happens. And if you look at many movement wisdom traditions, they often start with this idea of syncing a slow, controlled gathering of energy before you express power outwards. It's about mastering that control first.
Okay, so going slow isn't just prep work. It's actually teaching the neuromuscular system. You're building control before power. That 37% co-activation, that sounds like it would feel a lot more stable.
It feels incredibly stable, like
Sure.
you're rooted and ready. And the rehab implications here are huge. For anyone coming back from, say, a knee injury, that extra co-activation acts like a natural brace. It significantly cuts down the risk of getting injured again. We're seeing physical therapists using these ideas report something like 43% faster return to sport times compared to just standard plyo progressions. It's making a real difference because the body learns to protect itself better.
That's massive. Okay, so we build that control first. What about generating the power itself? That brings us to the second principle, fascial recoil optimization, the spiral path to efficiency. We mostly see linear jumps in training, straight up, straight down. How is this spiral idea different?
Well, think about natural movement. It's rarely just straight lines. Intelligent plyometrics uses what you might call cloud-like spiral landings. It sounds a bit poetic, but the science backs it up. Studies show these more fluid, slightly rotational landings improve the body's ability to store and release elastic energy. Think of your fascia as springs by about 28% compared to just linear jumps. It connects directly to those flowing spiral patterns you see in martial arts. They engage the whole body, using those fascial networks much more effectively than simple up and down movements.
Ah, so it's not just for show, that spiral motion. It's tapping into the body's natural spring system more efficiently, like coiling and uncoiling.
Exactly, it's biomechanical optimization. And think about rehab again. If someone has fascial restrictions, maybe IT band issues or chronic problems from repetitive linear movements, this spiral training can be fantastic. It helps restore tissue quality and movement efficiency because those 3D movements get into areas and break up adhesions that straight line stuff often misses.
Really interesting. Okay, let's move to the third one, rhythmic variability. You called it training the brain to land. What's the issue with the usual predictable rhythms in plyometrics?
The issue is that life isn't predictable.
Yeah.
In a game, you don't land on a beat, you land when you land, often unexpectedly. Traditional plyos, with their constant rhythm, can actually make the neuromuscular system a bit, well, dumb. It gets used to the predictability. But research shows that introducing irregular jump intervals, maybe varying the time between jumps from, say, 1.3 seconds to 1.7 seconds, actually sharpens neuromuscular timing acuity by a huge 41%. This really aligns with that movement wisdom idea of listening, paying constant attention to what's happening, and being ready to adapt rather than just running a pre-programmed pattern.
Wow, 41%. So it's less about just drilling the muscles and more about educating the nervous system, developing adaptability for when things don't go as planned. Oh, that makes so much sense. We get too comfortable.
We really do. The body loves efficiency, sometimes too much. And this has real value in rehab, too. Think about athletes recovering from concussions, where reaction times might be off, or anyone needing better cognitive motor integration. This kind of unpredictable timing training helps rewire those connections, rebuilding confidence and making their reactions more robust for the real world.
That idea of unpredictability links nicely to the fourth principle, chaos adaptation, preparing for the messy reality of movement. Real landings aren't always on perfect gym floors, are they?
Not even close. You land on grass, maybe uneven ground, sand. So why train only on perfect surfaces? Intelligent plyometrics incorporates variable surface training. You progress carefully from stable surfaces, maybe to foam, then grass, maybe even sand. And get this, studies suggest this kind of training can reduce the risk of landing injuries in real-world scenarios by an incredible 52%. It really reflects that wisdom principle. Mastery isn't about controlling the environment, it's about adapting to it, developing what we might call surface intelligence.
52%, that's huge. It's building resilience, isn't it? Teaching the body to read and react to the ground underneath it, rather than just hoping the ground is always flat.
Precisely. And in rehab, it's a fantastic tool. It provides a progressive challenge for people coming back from ankle sprains, knee issues, or anyone with balance problems. That controlled chaos helps rebuild proprioception, your body's sense of where it is in space, getting the nervous system ready for the unpredictable surfaces they'll encounter when they return to activity.
Okay, principle number 5, cross-lateral integration, the brain-body bridge. Why is just jumping straight up and down potentially limiting?
Because life and sport involve rotation, shifting weight side to side, rarely just pure vertical movement. This principle has two key parts. First is rotational stability. Landing slightly off-center, maybe at a 45-degree angle, actually forces the body to stabilize differently. Research shows this improves single leg control by 33% compared to just straight landings. It really echoes those martial arts concepts of rooting, staying connected and stable even during dynamic, multi-directional movement, developing rotational intelligence. The second part is crucial, especially for knee health. Valgus collapse protection. That's when the knee caves inward on landing, a major risk factor for ACL tears, particularly in female athletes. Incorporating side-to-side load-shifting exercises has been shown to reduce this medial knee collapse by a staggering 61% in female youth athletes. It directly addresses that key injury mechanism. It's like the martial arts idea of distinguishing empty and full, knowing how to shift weight effectively to stay balanced and strong in all directions.
61% reduction in knee collapse. That's incredibly specific and impactful. So it's about building 3D control, handling forces that aren't just straight down. Any challenges getting people to do these rotational or lateral moves? Do they feel awkward at first?
Sometimes, yeah. People can be hesitant about rotation, thinking it's risky, but controlled rotation is vital. The key is proper progression and coaching. And for rehab, these elements are gold. The rotational work is critical after ACL surgery, or for chronic ankle instability stuff, straight line drills just don't address. And that lateral loading is absolutely key for athletes identified as high risk for ACL tears, especially young women. It directly retrains that dangerous inward knee movement.
Okay, so we have these 5 powerful principles. How do they all come together in actual training? Let's talk about the integrated plyometric cycle, finding that harmony in explosive training.
Right, it's about balancing the explosive part with the absorption part, but in a specific way. You have the explosive phase, short, sharp, concentric jumps, often with rhythmic cueing to keep it crisp. But then comes the absorptive phase, the eccentric lowering. And this is key. It's deliberately 3 times slower than the explosive phase. This creates a 2.1 eccentric to concentric ratio. And studies show this specific ratio dramatically reduces stress on the patellar tendon by about 44%. It mimics that natural rhythm you see everywhere, expansion and contraction, effort and recovery. It teaches the body to absorb force intelligently.
44% less stress on the tendon just by controlling the landing speed. That's amazing. It really emphasizes controlling the absorption, not just slamming down. Does that 2.1 ratio feel strange at first?
It can, yeah. Athletes often want to just bounce straight back up, but they quickly learn to appreciate the control it gives them. And for rehab, it's especially good for tendinopathies, muscle strains, overused stuff. That longer eccentric phase allows tissues time to adapt and builds their capacity to handle load, which is crucial for preventing re-injury.
So how is this all structured practically? Let's look at the evidence-based sequence design. It sounds like it's not just random exercises.
Definitely not random. It's a systematic progression, blending ancient ideas with modern validation. It starts with stage 1, rooting. Think martial arts stances. We use micro jumps, tiny, maybe just 2 centimeters high, but with really long 3-second eccentric phases. Slow and controlled descents. This specifically activates certain mechanoreceptors in your joints, basically fine-tuning your body's position sense. It builds that deep stability from the ground up. In early rehab, it's perfect. You get that neural stimulus without actually stressing the tissues much. Then you move to stage 2, flow. This is where we bring in those rotational landings, starting small, maybe 10 degrees, and progressing up to 90 degrees. This gradually builds tolerance to load in different planes and develops those efficient spiral movement patterns we talked about. In rehab, this is great for ironing out asymmetries and rebuilding that 3D control.
And there are other elements woven in too, right? Not just the stages.
Oh yeah, some really neat ones, like landing sound feedback. The goal is to land quietly, setting a target, maybe less than 68 decibels. It encourages landing softly, absorbing force efficiently, like a cat. Loud landings usually mean poor absorption. Quiet landings mean knurl. For someone rehabbing, hearing that quiet landing builds confidence in the repaired joint. It's immediate feedback. Then there's knee line control, making sure the knee tracks properly over the foot, maintaining about 12-15 degrees of external rotation through the ankle, knee, hip chain. This aligns with all the modern research on safe ACL mechanics. It distributes force well. In rehab, it's vital for correcting bad habits and preventing compensations. And finally, recovery timing. Especially for younger athletes, under 14, we need to respect their developing bodies. The science suggests 48-hour rest intervals between sessions are optimal for physical adaptation. That's their growth plates. Honoring these rhythms is crucial during rehab, too, to allow proper tissue healing and adaptation, preventing setbacks.
It sounds incredibly detailed and well thought out. What about the broader picture? Clinical and institutional validation. Is this approach recognized?
It is gaining recognition, definitely. For one, it aligns well with existing standards, like the ACSM Youth Plyometric Guidelines, but adds that crucial layer of neuromuscular intelligence. It also integrates beautifully with things like the FIFA 11 Plus Injury Prevention Program, enhancing those protocols. And the validation data is compelling. We mentioned studies showing martial artists have 32% better knee proprioception, that position sense. Clinically, programs using these integrated principles are seeing things like a 38% reduction in re-injury rates and athletes returning to sport 29% faster than with standard rehab. These numbers really make people pay attention in sports medicine.
That's seriously impressive. Okay, so summing this up, it feels like this whole intelligent plyometrics approach is about creating, well, not just athletes who can jump high, but athletes who are smarter movers overall, developing that movement wisdom.
That's the heart of it. Athletes trained this way don't just test better. They move better in every situation. They land softer, they change direction more smoothly, they handle unexpected forces without breaking down. And crucially, they tend to stay healthier, perform longer, and actually improve their tissue quality over time instead of wearing it out. It's about building robust, adaptable athletes for the long haul.
So, thinking about this, what does it all mean for you listening? If blending this ancient wisdom with modern science can make such a difference for athletes, how could applying these intelligent principles, even in small ways, change how you move every day? How could it impact your long-term physical health, not just your performance in the gym or on the field? Something to think about.